Kelly here with Kelly's Work of Life and the home of the Broom and Moon Coven. So today I'm doing something a little bit different, and let me know if it's something that you like because it's definitely something that I can do more of. And this is inspired by videos that Lisa Pepez has on her channel. And she has, I'll leave a link to one of the videos in the description, and you can see how she kind of did the same topic. And it was really interesting to me because as we go more and more into more and more decks being developed, more and more decks are going out of print for whatever reason. And so she on her channel did I'll leave a link to one of them, but I think she had more than one where she looked at different decks that were out of print that you couldn't get anymore or that were really expensive to find original editions of them. And so she looked at the out of print deck and then gave a few alternatives that have the same theme or the same vibe or kind of the same, this same look that the out of print decks that you could get now. And I thought that was really interesting, again, because as more and more decks are being published, there are decks that are going out of print, for whatever reason. And sometimes if it's an independent deck, the creator moves on to something else. It was just a kind of a one and done project that the creator did, or it was something that was maybe a collaboration between creators. And it was just a deck that came out, and for whatever reason, the creators have moved on. Some of the decks are decks that have been in mass market but are being retired or taken out of print by the publisher. And some of the creators have passed on, and so they're not creating anymore. And so there's lots of reasons for decks to go out of print. And some publishing companies, just the smaller companies, maybe only print one or two editions of a deck, and then they move on to something else. And if sometimes there's a deck that you see and you think, oh, I really, really, really love that deck, and I really, really wish that I could get it. But it's out of print, and when you start to look for it, it could be several hundred, to thousands of dollars. And some of us don't have, hundreds or, thousands of dollars to spend on even an out of print deck. And there are some that you may want to spend a lot of money on for whatever reason. And there might be that deck that you really want for that reason. And so that's a good reason, to look for one deck specifically. But then if you do see, because if you watch TarotTube or watch YouTube videos that with tarot creators, you see that a lot of times they use decks that are out of print because they use them for because they have them, and but you can't get them anymore. And so and that is, it's sad in a way that we can't have access to every deck, but then it's okay because then we can share the decks that have been created by other people, and decks that have similar themes and similar vibes and similar looks or similar uses, and you can get them, and you're still supporting the tarot community, and you're still supporting tarot creators. And so I think it's just one of those things that happen. now, and I think it's happening. It's probably going to happen a little bit less in some ways because there are, the two of the big publishing companies, US Games and Llewellyn, are taking on more independent decks. They see, decks that have been launched on Kickstarter and did really well, and so then they pick them up for mass market. So sometimes if you see one that has been, done independently, it might be coming out in mass market, and so you can just wait for that. And there are, there are downsides, and upsides to all of this. And there's good things about it and there's bad things about it. And that's, a whole, could be a whole other video on, the publishing industry. But today I thought, inspired by Lisa's video, to do this because I came across a deck that I've had in my collection for a long time, many years now, and I use it quite frequently. And I was showing, and it's actually a video that I just did about how I use my cards, and I was showing how I used this particular deck. And when I went to put a link to the deck, I realized that it was out of print, and that's one of the ones that we're going to do today. And so I thought, remembered her Lisa's video and thought, this would be a good thing to do and look and see if I have other decks that I know that I have that are out of print and that I could give some advice on decks that you could use instead. And I know that one deck that I do have is the Tarot the Vampyres by Ian Daniels that just went out of print, I think, by the publisher. And then I have a third deck that we'll look at, and it is I always forget the name of it, Fantastic Menagerie Tarot, and by Karen Mahoney. And so we're going to look at that one. And I believe it was published by Baba Rock Studios. And I think that they do their premise is that they do like one or two runs of a deck and then they move on. And so if you don't get it out that time, then it's usually not brought back into print. And I think, I don't know. I think that Baba Rock is not, they're moving away from tarot decks too, but I don't know. I haven't been to their website lately to look at that, but I know that I've got a few of their decks and they're just so fun. And, you look at it and you think, oh, I wish that I had that deck. And so, but I'm going to look at just three today. And, if you like this video and it's fun, then I can definitely do more and look at some other out of print decks. Maybe you have one that you've been, looking for and it's just not in your budget. And, I can look at it and find give some recommendations as well. But let's just do this today. And I want to see how it works because I had a lot of fun doing this. And I, really loved her videos when she did these videos, and Lisa Pepez. And so I thought that we would do it today. So we're going to start out, and this is the reason that I kind of got the idea to put this video together, is that I was doing and I'll put a link to this video of how I use my cards. And I use this deck. This is called the Spirit de la Lune Oracle. And you can see this is what the backs look like. And you can see it's a round deck, and I don't particularly use round decks that often. I only have maybe one or two more, and I don't really use them that often. But I use this one because it has all the moon phases. And I know that you can't see it because uh the the text is really small and it's in cursive. And but this one says envision, and this is the waxing crescent moon. So if I hold it, this is what it looks like. So this is what it, and of course it's round, and so it comes up different ways. But this is an example of what the cards look like in this deck. And it has the title, it has the picture of the moon on it, and then it has a keyword at the bottom. So it has all the moon phases, and it also has the all the full moons. And so this is the harvest moon for gratitude. So it has the full moon there. So it has all the harvest moons, it has all the full moons, and then it has all of the zodiac signs. So this one is Virgo, and or is it Virgo? Yes, Virgo. So Virgo and the healer down at the bottom. So it has the moon, all the moon phases. It has all of the zodiac signs, and it has all of the full moons. And so I really like using it, and it's got a few others. I think it has um I think it has an eclipse card, a lunar eclipse card, and it has some extra cards at the back, and or extra cards in it, and that I put at the back. That is one is a quick reference, and one is the elements, the four elements, and you see, and because these elemental symbols are on the cards, so you can look at them if you don't know what they are. And then this is a moon blessing here that you can use. And then this is the creators. So this is the Spirit de la Lune Oracle, and it was written by uh a it's I'll have to get let me get the this is Marissa Rankin and Rachel Carangella. And they created this one together, and it's moondaughter.com and treetalker.com is this on the the card here as the creators. So I went to look for this one to put a link to it, not really realizing that it was out of print, because I do use these cards for my moon altar. So this one I will use during the full moon time. This one I will use during the new moon time. And then I will use different cards. I will use the zodiac sign for the whatever sign the moon is in. So if it's a new moon in Scorpio, I'll use the new moon card with the Scorpio card, and I'll put those two on my moon altar. And I do mix these, and because I have a few different astrological decks, and so I mix them together and combine. So I might put, this card with, and there's a picture of this on the how I use my cards video, so you can see that there. But I'll put this card, the full moon, with one of the zodiac signs, with the other with another of the astrological decks. So I mix and match them, I use them together, and then I use the rest of the deck as just an oracle deck, as just to draw cards to get for a theme, for something like that. So that is the Spirit de la Lune. And like I said, I looked for it, and you can't get it anymore. And so I thought, what would be decks that I could use instead? And so this is one that I have, and this is called the Crystal Moon Mystic Oracle by Ashley Levy. And I'll have links to the ones that you can get, and you can get this one, and it's on, I think that it's on her website, and so you can go there and get this deck. But it is very similar to the Spirit de la Lune. It's not round, but it does have it does have the moon phases. Like here is waning crescent moon. It has the full moons with their names in three different cultures. And so you can it's like an expanded with the full moons. And then it has the zodiac signs. So here's Aries with the zodiac, the constellation. It has with each of the full moons and with the culture that it corresponds to, it has when it is, and you can see that this one's May, and then it has a crystal down at the bottom because Ashley Levy she did have a crystal school, a school of crystal healing, and I think that it just closed. And she did have a metaphysical store also, and that you could order online, and I think that it's still open as well. But she has crystals on here because she is a crystal, knows all about crystals, and it's called the Crystal Moon Mystic Oracle. And so you can see these are just some more examples of the cards, and they're very beautiful cards. I use this deck as in moon readings when I do moon readings, and here's another example of the the moon phase. And so it has the moon phases, it has the full moons for three different cultural um, places, and it has the constellations with each zodiac sign. And then it has show you, it's got about the author here. This is about her. It has reference cards, so it has lots of reference cards so that you can, instead of a guidebook, it has these reference cards that you can look at and look up anything in the cards and find whether it's a moon phase, and how to use it. And it talks about the crystals that are on it. So for like the Ivy moon, it has love with the white pearl and cooperation, shadow side, and breaking bad habits. So it's definitely one that I really like and that I use a lot. And I think would be wonderful if you want something like the Spirit de la Lune, if you do have a moon altar, or you like to do moon readings, or you just really like moon oracle cards. And that one is a really good one. And if you like crystals too, it's a good one. And so the next one that I have for the Spirit de la Lune is kind of a one that you can get now, is the Moonology Manifestation Oracle cards. And this is by Yasmin Boland, and she has at least two others that I know of, the Moonology deck, and I think there's another Moonology deck that has a different theme. But this one is the Moonology Manifestations, and I really like this one because it includes the quarter moons, and so it goes through all of the moons. So this is the last quarter moon in Pisces, and it has a message for you. Talk less, feel more. Yeah, which is perfect for the last quarter moon in Pisces. And so it goes through, and and it has, the full moon. So it has all the last quarter moons in all the signs. It has all the full moons in all the signs with messages. And it has all the first quarter moons. This is the first quarter moon in Capricorn. So it has all the first quarter moons. And then it has all of the, let's see, what the name is. And so it has all the new moons in every sign. So this is the new moon in Leo, and this is the message is shine. So this one it's a little bit different than the Spirit de la Lune, and is it's just moon phases, but I really like it in that it includes the different moon phases so that the quarter moons, and it also has the message in it, and it's just it's a fun deck. It's again, it's one that has just beautiful artwork that's just beautiful to look at, and one that you can use and and have as and something that you can use on a moon altar, can use in a moon reading, you can use as a theme to a week. I use mine, and I will use this one at the beginning of this one, or the crystal moon one at the beginning of a week on Monday, because it is the moon's day, and so I do a moon day reading, and I will use one of those with some other decks that I'm working with, and as a kind of a theme for the week. Okay, so that is the Spirit de la Lune that's out of print with the Crystal Moon Mystic Oracle. And this is the Moonology Manifestation Oracle. There are two ones that you can get now, and I'll have those links for you and down below. All right, let's move on. So this is the second one. This is Tarot of the Vampyres, and this is by Ian Daniels. And this has always been one of my very favorite decks because, and I think I have the yes, the guidebook here. And it is, even though it is vampire themed and it's, very gothic and, kind of that um kind of shocking vampire looking. But this is one of the best guidebooks out there. I mean, it's a wonderfully written guidebook. And I learned so much about tarot and spirituality, and just so much in this guidebook. And so this is a deck that I use, and I use very, very often. And I think it did go out of print at one point, and it then came back into print at another point, but I just saw that it is going out of print again. And I think this time by I think this one is the Llewellyn. Yeah, Llewellyn that published it. And so this is the Six of Scepters. And so and it has a more, I think, Thoth-inspired titles to the court cards. And so this is the Lord of Grails. And so the Grails are the cups, the scepters are the wands, the skulls are the pentacles, and here's the strength card. And then here's this is the knives, and so the knives are the swords. So you can see it's very much very much kind of gothic vampire, uh, darkness, and just this whole theme. But it's so well done that I think that if you like this aesthetic at all, that this is a deck that you would really like. But if you can't get it now, these are two that I recommend that you look into instead. And so this is the Dark Mansion Tarot. Now, the Dark Mansion Tarot is by Taroteca Studios. And this one you can get, and it is a little bit on the pricey side, but I think that it's worth it because it's just so well done. And it's almost the opposite of Terror of the Vampires in that it is much more, I mean, it almost looks like anime, and it looks kind of cartoony. But when you look at the illustrations and you look at the symbols and the way that the cards are done, they're just done very well, and they're very symbolic, and they have lots of ways that you can interpret the cards, and they're just beautiful to read with. And this is another deck that I've had for a long time. And I keep it close by because I pull it out, and a lot of people I think would consider this more of and just like the Terror of the Vampires, more of a Halloween deck, or that spooky season deck, but I use mine all year round. And so I mean, the Hierophant, it's just so well done because it's just got all these symbols and just ways that you can get into the card. And it's not, I think drawn well enough, and so that it's not meant to be a cartoon. It's meant to be just a particular style. And this Queen of Pentacles, I love her. And so it's one, again, it's a little bit more pricey than if you get, a mass market deck. And the next one I'm going to show you is a mass market deck that you can get pretty easily, and it's not as expensive. But if you want something and you like this aesthetic, and you want something has that spooky season feel, and that time of year, that Samhain Halloween feel, and you like to use it all year long, the Dark Mansion I would definitely invest in because it's very well made. The cardstock is, you can see it's got the black edges here. The cardstock is very well made. It's not too glossy. It doesn't really have a linen finish, but it's more of a matte finish, and it just is you can handle it, and it's beautiful to handle. Now this one is the second one is the Tarot de la Nuit, and this is by Carol Ann Eskenazi, and the artwork by Alexandra Bach. And this one is a mass market deck that you can get very easily, and it has the same, and you can tell it's, the cardstock is definitely, more mass market, kind of glossy cardstock that's a little bit flimsier, but still not, still very substantial enough to be something that to work with. And you can see it's got that same kind of aesthetic, that same kind of darkness, of the kind of gothic look to it. And here's the Fool. And this is what the back looks like. So it's reversible. And here you have the Hermit. Here's the Nine of Swords, and you can see the difference in how this is much glossier. But it shuffles very well. I think it is the cardstock is still, substantial enough that you can use it and not be afraid, that it's going to fall apart. Here's the High Priestess. So definitely has that same that kind of same aesthetic and but a little less vampire-y. So that is the Tarot de la Nuit. And so if you're looking, if you missed out maybe on Terror of the Vampires and you're looking for something, you can look for either one of those. All right, lastly, we have and this is one that is out of print, and this is the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot by Karen Mahoney. And I think that it was one that it was published by Baba Rock Studios. Yes. So Baba Rock Studios, and and you can see here's the card that came with it. And so this was one of those that and they, as far as I know, have decks and do, one or two runs of a deck, and then that's it. And they move on to something else. So I have a couple of their decks, and I like them, and I was glad that I got them. But the last few decks that they came out with, I was kind of like, and I'm not sure that I'm going to get them. So this again, the last deck that I'm sharing that is out of print is the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot. And this one is very Baba Rock Studios has a definite kind style of art, and you can see it's got even like this kind of uh, gold embossing on the top. So it's got this shiny on the top. And you can see around the gold. It's got on the back too, kind of this gold holographic um, detail to it. And so it's got it around the edge of you can see it with the border. And it's got this kind of lighter color palette. And this one is a menagerie, the Fantastic Menagerie, because they're all animals and they're all animals with people bodies. And so that's what makes it a menagerie, and that's what makes it a fantastic. And I know, and I like the deck. It's interesting. I don't think this one the two others that are out of print are, I think, more my style, more ones that I would use on a daily basis. But this is one I did get because I just wanted to see what it was like. I thought it was an interesting, it was a small publisher, and I thought it was just very interesting the way that they did the art, and I wanted to see, and it's very good cardstock. I think it's a little bit bigger. Yes, it's a little bit bigger than kind of standard size, but it was just interesting. And I have another one that's by them, but it's the really big cards, and I think it's the um I want to say Victorian Romantic or something like that. But it has this the decks have this Bohemian Victorian kind of look to it, and and it was really cute. And if you like it, and again, it's got a lot of symbols in it. And I know it's hard to see on the camera, but it's symbolic. And this is the Six of Swords. You see the person moving on. and the Empress with the bird and the dress. And so it's very symbolic. And if you like that kind of that style, then you would like this deck. But since it is out of print and you can't really, and I think that if you look for it, it's probably expensive to buy like a pre-owned copy. I thought that I would show you two more decks that are very similar that you can get now. So this first one is Tarot of the Curious Creature. So it's a very similar theme in that it is animals that are put on the human's body. And this is a deck by Chris Ann, and she also is the creator of the Light Seers Tarot, and she also has the Muse Tarot, which is one that if you like decks that are kind of step outside, have the same structure, but are have step outside the traditional titles and traditional suits, then that one is a good one. But that was we'll talk about this one today. So this again, Tarot of the Curious Creatures by Chris Ann. And this one, the one that I have, I think this one is, yeah, the cards are just a little bit, they're the same width, but they're just a little bit, you can see it comes up above this one. It's just a little bit taller than a standard size. And it's more similar to the the Dark Mansion Tarot. And this one is one that came out, this is the original that came out by Chris Ann. And so this was her independent deck when it came out. But now you can get it mass market, so you can get it. And in this, it has this edition has that kind of matte finish, and the cardstock, the cardstock is very well done and very easy to handle, and that kind of little bit of extra height, just gives it a little bit of, just gives a little bit of a look to the characters. And I like it because you see the character and it has a border around it, but you see that a lot of the illustration kind of steps outside the border, and it has the animal in on a person's body. So you see the Queen of Cups in that last one. Here's Justice. Here is the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Cups. Here's the Page of Swords. And the Nine of Wands. And so it's got the traditional titles of the tarot, but it definitely steps outside the kind of Rider-Waite-Smith look of it. And here's the Two of Wands. And I like it. And it's got a good guidebook because it has a message from each of the animals that's in the book. Um, and it gives you a heads and a tails. So it gives you an upwards and a downward. So it's got reversals, so that you can use for the tails. And then it has about the card, and then it has guidance from the the animal that's in the card. And it's really good. It's very well written. And it's got kind of that the kind of the look of the Fantastic Menagerie, in that it is, if there's not a lot, if this one has, you can see like this card, there's not a lot in the background, and this one is like that too. There's the backgrounds have a color in them, but there's not a lot of things in the background. It's more like somebody standing kind of in front of a wall and or in front of a backdrop. And so I like that because it's very easy to then to focus on the character and on the animal and but still get the message from the card. So this is the Tarot of Curious Creatures by Chris Ann. So if you liked the Fantastic Menagerie and you like that style, and but this one is definitely a little bit more modern, even though it's not I don't think modern, as like this time, but it is like a lot of it reminds me of kind of the 50s, the 40s or the 50s. And so, more modern take to it. So if you like that as well, this might be a good one. All right. And then the last one, and this is the second one that I would recommend if you like the Fantastic Menagerie, then this one is called Boadiccea's Tarot of Earthly Delights. And I actually have a video on this one because I did a deck study and deck review on this one. So I'll put that link so that you can see that and you can see this whole deck. But this one to me is kind of a cross between the last two. The Fantastic Menagerie in that it's got that kind of menagerie look. It's got, all these kinds of things going into it. And the Curious Creatures in that it's got that kind of that more collage look. And so this one, and you can see that this one too is much bigger. This one is a bigger deck. And so it's almost like Oracle size deck. So if you like bigger decks, this one is a good one. It's not glossy, but it does have the kind of gold holographic edges and the gold around around the border. So this one is influenced by the painting The Garden of Earthly Delights. And so the creator took that that kind of influence from the painting where there's just lots of goodness in it. And so you see that the cards have a lot of collage in them. Some of them don't have any, some of them don't have any people in them. Some of them have people. Some of them have people with head, like this one here's the Hierophant, and the person with the animal's head. And this one is, again, this one has its own very special take on the tarot. So the the all of the suits are renamed. So ether is air. Let's see. Fungi or fungi are the pentacles. And then, oh, here's one that's the emperor with an asparagus stalk as a head. Just really interesting. And then let's see. So there's ether, there's the fungi. Combustion is the wands or the suit of fire. And then tentacles is the suit of cups. And so that is interesting because it's tentacles, and which is very easy to think maybe that's pentacles, but it's not. Pentacles is the fungi, and the tentacles is the cups. And so you can see here's the eight of combustion, seven of fungi, the three of tentacles, just the three of cups. And you can see this one has a fish in it instead of, and the narwhals instead of the people in it. So there is, some like this one has a person in it, but it's also got a lot of very very otherworldly, very collage, very like that old Victorian feeling. And so it's got a lot of different influences in it. And it's one that just reminds me of the Fantastic Menagerie because it has that kind of fantastical quality to it. And it has, thing illustrations that have been collaged and put together, and it's really interesting. So if you want to see, more about the deck and the deck review that I did, I'll link uh, that below, and so you can see the link to that video below so that you can see that. But those are two that I would recommend if you like the Fantastic Menagerie specifically, or you like that kind of deck. And and so the Tarot of Curious Creatures and the Bodica's Tarot of Earthly Delights are both ones that definitely play into that kind of fantastic, the menagerie, the people and the animals together and that kind of crossover. And so they both have that in those decks. And the Bodica's Tarot of Earthly Delights is it has a lot, if you read the guidebook, it has a lot of pop culture references. And so if you enjoy that, that is a fun deck for you. And the the writer and creator is, and I'd always say that it's very cheeky because it has a lot of like it's just very entertaining to read, and I like her style. She's kind of like, telling you how it is. And so the both of those decks are good for that. So again, tarot, the Spirit de la Lune, this one, you can, one would be a good one would be the Crystal Moon Mystic Oracle, or the Moonology Manifestation Oracle. And then for the out of print Tarot of the Vampyres, the Dark Mansion Tarot, or the Tarot de la Nuit, and the Fantastic Menagerie with the Tarot of the Curious Creatures, or the Bodica's Tarot of Earthly Delights. So again, I know that was a lot, but I thought it was fun, and I had fun looking and seeing, just looking at the out of print decks and what kinds of things they have in them, that and why I bought them in the first place. And so why I bought them and how I would enjoy reading with them, because in the end, that's what I like to do, is I like to read and do readings with tarot decks. And so all of these decks that I have, I bought for a specific reason. And so, whether it was a, specific reason and or it was just because I just thought that looks cool. I'm going to look at it and see if I like it. And so looking back and looking at the ones now that are out of print and thinking, what is it that I liked about the deck enough to buy it in the first place? And now if, I can't get it, there are other ones that I have in my collection that I could replace, that I could use that would give me the same kind of feeling or have the same kind of theme and that I could use and get that same feeling or emotions or messages from those decks. And of course, one deck is never going to replace a specific deck totally, and because every deck is has its own creator and it has its own story and its own reason for being created. But I do like this and looking because there are decks that we might really really like and we just can't get for whatever reason. So so I thought this was a fun thing to do. And, again, if you like this and you thought it was fun, and I would definitely love to do it again and look at some more decks that are out of print, maybe some that I personally, all these are ones where I personally have. And so it might be fun to look at some that I maybe see other places and think, ooh, I'd like to have that, but then I go and look for it and it's out of print. And so, what are some other decks that I might want to use in place of that, or and as that same kind of theme for the deck. All right. Well, this was so much fun. So let me know what you think and if there's decks that you have found that are out of print that you are looking for and would love to have something, more affordable or that you can find that's mass market that you would like to do a similar process with, let me know. I would love to do it. All right, that's it for today. I will see you again soon. Bye.